All right, and we're live. Um, so, last session, the party reported to Count Ander. Told him, well, kind of, he told them about the Draconians at first, and how he was not happy about it. He sent them on a new mission of discovering who interrupted the execution of Vist, while also mentioning that there was going to be a large-scale force moving toward Mount Scylla to deal with the Draconians. After that, Call started writing a letter to their mom, and Henry and Ren went out into the city to spread some joy. And while they were out spreading as much as they could, people kind of seemed to be, on their own way, not really in great positions to receive joy. They briefly went towards the district of rent housing. Didn't stay long there before Ren decided that he wanted to buy Oren a watch. And so they went back to the market district and found a little shop that was not named, but just had a large brass gear hanging as a sign in front of it. They went in and met Zork, the goblin shopkeeper, who was a bit of an eccentric, and purchased a watch to give to Oren. And that is exactly where we left off, I believe. So yeah, y'all are standing in front of a small building with a brass gear for a sign.
What time is it?
Ooh, it's getting close to evening. The sun is still up, but it's starting to go down. I think 5-ish.
I think Henry turns to Ren and says, "Do you want to go maybe to an area where, people are going to be getting home from work and maybe like being outside if they want to be outside and socializing, so we might have some better luck, or do you want to maybe grab something to eat and go back home?"
I think it might be time to go back.
Okay. Are you hungry?
No.
Okay.
Are you hungry?
I'm always hungry.
Okay.
But I'll be fine. I can grab something at the mess. I like that they're the two opposites. Always hungry and never hungry. Call determines when they actually eat. The only one with a
without
normal.
call.
The one with a strictly regimented schedule.
The 5 a.m. jogger.
Horrible.
Horrible.
Okay, so I guess we head back.
Yeah, let's head back. Can I make a perception check?
Sure, what are you looking for?
The fox. 18.
You do not see the fox. Yeah. So y'all are just heading back towards
The keep.
just
Go back home.
the keep in general. Or
Yeah, I think Ren would be ready to kind of 3 things. We'll do, whatever there seems to be an opportunity to do. Give watch to Oren, talk to Barnabas, talk to Call.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's kind of up to you. I mean, you know that Call is most likely still in the barracks writing their letter, unless they have left in the brief time. It is like coming towards the end of the day, so you would assume Barnabas would be in his office or his rooms. I can never decide what to call it because it is both. Like, and then, I mean, you're pretty certain you'll find Oren in the library.
Let's go see if Barnabas is available.
Okay. By yourself, or is Henry coming?
Probably by Ren's.
Okay. So, Henry, what are you going to be doing while he goes off?
I'll think about it. Henry's gonna walk with
Okay.
Ren back to the keep, and then, but I think he's gonna do something. I'll think about it. We can do Barnabas right now.
All right. Just give me a perception check for going through the university. Ren.
That is a whole 12.
12. Okay. You don't really notice anyone of note. Like, you see some students, a couple people that you know are in the core as well, but, like, no big names. Yep. And you arrive at Barnabas's door, and even as you're approaching, you can see candlelight coming from underneath the door. He calls out, "Enter."
Okay.
He is laying on his little, like, couch chair, centaur chair thing.
I would love for you to draw it. I'm so curious about it.
You want to see a series of rectangles, huh? Yeah, it is a rather elegant piece of furniture, but it's imagine if you had, like, an elegant wooden chair that extended to one side, and when he lays on it, so basically his entire horse body lays on the seat of the chair, but there's only a back on his like, human torso area. So it's more like he's sitting. If he were a human, he would be sitting in a chair sideways with, like, the back of the chair like under his arm.
Gotcha. Okay.
It is, like, it's cushioned and it's very, like, ornate and carved, and looking at the wood, you get the feeling that it is steel wood, which means that it's worth its weight in gold. Aside from the ornate carving and very, nice look of it. But he's sitting there, and his eyes. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I mean, that's my doodle for the day.
I was about to say.
Okay, I did good.
So his eyes, which, as I will just remind everyone, are golden. The pupils of his eye, the irises are gold colored. His irises are actually, like, really, really dilated, and not glowing, but it looks like they should be, which is a weird thing to say. But as you come in, he has kind of a vacant expression at first that like focuses in very rapidly. His irises, it's still called dilate when they get smaller, isn't it?
Contract.
Retract.
Contracting pupils.
Contract. Yeah. Okay. And he completely focuses in and turns to you. Get out of here with that. Store is dead. There's a golden statue to him in the courtyard because he's dead. No, it's actually been there way longer than he's been dead. Anyway, he's a fucking divination wizard, okay?
He just does this. This is a normal Thursday. Okay.
But he focuses in on you, but doesn't actually say anything.
Yeah, I guess starting off with, I hope everything went well.
He's not trying to mask any emotion, and there's a lot of it playing across his face, which is somewhat uncommon. He's usually a very calculated person, but you can see he's a little worried, frustrated, and the thing that you can actually see the most is that he looks tired.
Hey. Yeah, so he just does that. I came to report to you and ask for some advice if you have the time. Kind of like, are you feeling up to it, man? But like, do you have the time?
He nods and gestures to a human-sized chair.
Okay.
And he like focuses even more onto you. And he says, I'm glad to see that you are back in one piece.
Me too. Thank you, sir. I think you got most of the news. There were Draconians present. Caw gave a thorough report of the mission. There was also, we encountered, I'm not sure if like this was reported, like, included in the report, but I'm just gonna, Ren's gonna mention like the necromancy bird and like, okay, so there's like necromancy going on here. What's that about? And then Ren is also gonna say, I also experienced a dream. I don't dream. So that's a little unusual. There was just a very deep voice, and it told me to come to the mountain, and it would grant my wish. And that was when we decided to come back to Storgard. But I don't know what might have caused that, and it concerns me deeply. And I don't know if you might know what that would be.
Dreams are powerful. I've been having a few myself recently. I wanted you to go to the mountain. Things get more complicated by the day. Of course, we're going to be sending many to the mountain soon. The best we can do is ensure they're prepared. Were you the only who received a dream? A worrying dream?
No, sir. People also experienced a disturbing dream of their own. Seemed slightly different, but we were both concerned by our own dreams. And they happened at the same night, so it seemed to coincide.
His face looks very worried. and you can see he's like tapping his thumb to his fingers, kind of like he's counting. Roll an intelligence check, just real quick.
God save him. Honey, 4.
You don't know. You're fairly certain he is counting, but he's touching each knuckle as he counts. So you're not.
Yes, Asher, Ren knows how to count. It's just not his strong suit. He was an English major.
My mom always has shirts that says, I'm an English major. You do the math.
I
Yeah.
like that. I'm a fucking nerd. Barnabas is very smart, and because I'm a nerd, I made Barnabas count in base 12. Okay.
Because you're awesome.
Because base 12 is how the world should be, but
Yes.
it would be impossible to convert.
We should have had 6 fingers. Everything would be a lot more even. I get you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you don't even need 6 fingers to count in base 12 because you have
But that's
3
why we're
knuckles
base
on.
10. Well,
But Babylonians, they counted each knuckle, and so that's 12 on one hand.
That's much smarter, yes.
Anyways, for the people at home, that's a little bit of history of counting. Jesus. But yes, Barnabas is counting. Ren doesn't know that it's base 12. I just need to get out of the gameplay side chat channel.
I'm doing this now. It's like I'm just okay.
A bit of the focus does leave Barnabas's face, but then he kind of snaps back to look at you again, and he kind of fully looks you over and says, "Okay, you had conflict with Draconians twice, correct?"
Yes.
And the second time, they ambushed you.
Yes, that was right? Okay, yeah.
They attacked in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
One would assume that is an ambush.
Yeah.
So he says, I guess that would lead us to believe they didn't want you leaving the foothills.
Or they really wanted me to leave.
But then an ominous voice tried to call you back.
I'm not sure if whatever entity that may or may not have been might have been aligned with the Draconians, but I don't know. I don't know where to even guess that the Draconians might be coming from but the mountains, so I'm not sure what to make of that. The dream sounded very much like a trip, and I didn't like that.
And what more to bait a trap with than your dream or your deepest want? Things never get simpler, do they?
I'm finding that they don't. It unnerved me more than I expected it would. And so if you had any hypotheses about what might have been in the mountain, I just wanted to make you aware of that detail.
I have too many hypotheses of what could be in that mountain. The last time I was in that mountain, one of my friends died, and I haven't seen another since. But that's a story for another day. Do you have any other concerns? Not that the ones that you've brought up aren't enough.
I have notes. I have notes, and I'm trying to remember. Okay, got it. I was checking on Oren as well. He seems to be doing well.
Yes, everything I've heard of him has been very good.
What can I ask? What do you make of Galdanis and how he is coaching Oren?
Galdanis is ambitious. He is ambitious before most other things. For the time being, he sees Oren as an asset, and as such, to be honest, there are few I would trust to protect him more.
Okay.
I am keeping an eye out on him, both of them. I obviously don't know this Oren as personally as you do, but from the reports that y'all have given me and from the interview I had with him, I trust that he is a good person. I think that he is doing his best to become a better one. We need more people like him, and so I will be doing what I can to keep him safe.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, Ren's probably gonna thank him for his time and leave him to his evening.
All right. He sees you to the door.
Cool.
All right. What did Henry do?
I'm gonna roll the dice. The dark one, if he's gonna do a more destructive thing. The light one, if that one wins, he's gonna do a less destructive thing.
Rollies.
God. Henry's gonna go out and try to get laid.
Henry's just gonna try and get laid. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Where's he gonna go to try and do that? Is he going to a tavern? Is he going to a brothel? Like, where is he headed?
I think he's gonna go to a tavern. Because
Okay.
he's not like full on committed. It has to happen, and then he's gonna go to a brothel. He's just gonna like go to a tavern and see what happens.
Just roll charisma.
That's a 15.
All right. I'm gonna let me roll
He
one
was
thing.
very charismatic.
Okay. Roll a perception check for me.
That's a dirty 20.
Okay. Then I need to roll. Okay. All right. Things go well for you. You find what you're looking for.
Awesome. Thanks.
I'm not gonna roleplay that.
We don't need to talk about any details. Unless you think this character's gonna come up again. List and Ren interaction.
There are a few things I will say about this character. You have not met them before. They were not drunk, but were drinking when you met them. And to be honest, grab bag on gender. What?
Doesn't gender, race, none of it matters. Henry has no type.
Okay. Henry goes and gives some joy. Alrighty.
Cool.
Okay. Call has spent the better part of an evening writing a letter.
Wait, what time does Henry get back to his rooms?
Well, so you walked with Ren back to the keep, and then spun on your heel and went to a tavern?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I would say you got to the tavern at, 6-ish. I would assume you would eat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't fucking know. You're making me.
I just want to know if when he gets back, the sending will be available. Is what I'm asking.
I don't know. Roll a performance check.
Oh, that's real bad.
No! Did Henry not succeed in giving much joy?
What did you roll?
I rolled a 2. I have a +3, so that's a 5.
Okay, so
You know the basic movements.
you completed very easy.
I'm sorry, I was not intending to go into this amount of detail. I just wanted to know if when he got home, he could do sending.
Well, shit. I know too fucking much. You rolled 15 on your.
I have an idea. I don't want to say it out loud. I don't think Henry does anything for himself. Maybe. And only.
But so here's the thing though.
But
Henry is a man. So most men, when they perform poorly, means it's shorter. But if Henry's not doing anything for himself, performing poorly means it takes longer.
That's true. Whatever you think.
I think things wrap up. Henry gets back to his room at about 7. That's where we're putting it.
Okay.
That's getting to the tavern, eating, meeting, doing, and going home.
You two have seen that required reading Dungeons and Dragons, like 8-bit video, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess not.
Where are the Cheetos? Where's the Mountain Dew? I'm getting drunk. If there are any girls there, I want to do them. Okay, I'm putting this in the chat. This is required reading, guys.
I didn't know that one.
Henry is that last person.
Poor Henry.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that he's distracted because he's doesn't have his head in the game. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay. So Call's writing a letter to their mom.
On the other end of the wholesomeness spectrum. So Call is finished at this point writing a letter to their mom and has instead decided that now is the time to see if Pym will show them any fun knife tricks. Because they have daggers and they have not used them a lot lately.
Okay. Sure. I'm trying to think of if there is like an actual tangible in-game benefit I could give you for this, because you technically already are proficient in throwing daggers, because
Yes.
it's a dexterity-based attack.
We established in episode 1 that Call is proficient in daggers.
This gives it narrative flavor.
Yes.
Okay. Well, here's what we're gonna do. First, roll an attack for me.
Like an attack?
Yeah, like you're throwing a dagger. You're practicing.
Okay. So am I just rolling flat then?
Yeah. Well, so it would be your dexterity modifier plus proficiency.
Dexterity modifier plus proficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's only a 10.
10. Okay. Pym is not a patient person. You know that Pym stands guard for List and for Jax. But you also know that Pym usually does that by hiding in the rafters and tends to start carving things pretty quickly. Pym is not a patient person. And she is getting a little pissed at how you're not getting exactly the technique that she's trying to teach you. And so you get no practical benefits, but practice.
Woo.
I'll say that you're still practicing when I'm assuming Ren is coming to talk to Call at this point, or is Ren going to go see Orin first?
Considering something, I think Ren is going to go to his room.
Mm-hmm.
And then last session, Call gave Ren a rookie-tookie. Guys, we're going to use the Rocky-Talkies.
We're going to use the Rocky-Talkies.
So Ren is just going to probably looking at it, feeling like an idiot, like, okay, how do I even use this thing?
I will say that it is still glowing slightly green.
All you have to do is talk into it or, something like that. Ren makes it just just knocks on it like hey, you there kind of thing. Just testing. But maybe that'll come through just a little.
The nature of the magical nature of the rock. Call, you get nothing. You get nothing on your end of the Rocky-Talkie.
Okay, Ren's probably going to wait about 5 seconds, still feeling like, okay, how the fuck do I use this? And as, Paul?
Call, make... how much of a dick do I want to be? Make a wisdom saving throw.
Wisdom saving throw. All right.
Instead of perception?
They heard it.
That
All right.
would be a whole 7.
Okay, make an attack roll with disadvantage for me.
Great.
That one?
That would be a 22.
22 with disadvantage.
With disadvantage.
Well, fuck me. So how that works out is you hear Ren's voice say your name through the stone as you are training with Pim, and the surprise of it makes you twitch slightly as you throw the knife, and you manage to hit the technique that Pim has been trying to show you perfectly. And she throws her hands up and goes, "Ha ha! I'm done," and leaves.
Fan-fucking-tastic. That is perfect.
Yeah, and that's how you flavor when you try to screw someone over and they just, shit on your chest about it.
And then it ends up funny and everyone's happy.
I want you guys to understand that what happened is that I rolled the exact same number both times.
Nice.
Nice.
You rolled 2 15s with disadvantage. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, you did hear your name come through the rock. So
excellent. All right, so Call's gonna do a quick look around to see if anyone is around enough to think that Call's doing anything weird.
I mean, you're on a training field. There's not really people watching you. You have a passive perception of 25. There are people that can see you, but there's no one watching you at the moment.
Okay. Call is going to go ahead and fish the Rocky Talkie out of their pocket. And they're just going to start fiddling with it so that it doesn't look super weird. And they're just going to be like, Ren, is that you? Is everything okay?
Message conveyed and everything.
Yeah.
Tin cans on a string. Yeah, okay. Hey, do you have time to come meet me? There's something I want to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. Where are we meeting?
The tower would be fine.
Okay, yeah, I'll head right over.
Okay.
Okay. Do I need to bring anything?
No, I just think we should talk about something, not in hearing range of other people.
Fair and valid. I'll be there soon.
Okay.
Call is going to, before they head over to the tower, kind of do a circle back through the barracks in search of their sewing supplies, because Call can sew. And is going to get the thickest thread that they've got, and they're gonna, with their dagger real quick, and kind of fashion the Rocky Talkie into a similar necklace as what they made with the rock that Pim gave them, so that they don't have to worry about it falling out of their pocket or something, and now it just looks like jewelry. So
Pier or Pim?
Pier, sorry, I said the wrong name.
Like, when did
Yeah,
Pim
Pim
give
had-
you a rock? What the
Sorry.
fuck?
I meant
Yeah.
Pier.
We talked to Pim recently.
I
Yeah,
talked to Pim
yeah.
very recently.
I was just like trying to rack my brain. I was like, when did this happen? Sorry. Anyway.
Don't you know Pim's a penguin? We're moving on. We're moving on. Yeah. I mean, you know how to tie a knot. I don't think I even need to make you roll for that. So.
I was about to say, I was like, that'd be mean. Call
Like,
can sew,
if
Call
you
can
were
tie a
trying-
knot.
Yeah, if you were trying to like make something fancy, I would make you roll for it to see how fancy it looked. But I mean, you're just practically tying a knot around a rock so that it hangs in a necklace. Like that is.
Yeah.
You could do that. That's fine. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's done.
Yeah. The most that Call's doing is making it a little bit shorter than the necklace with the rock that Pier gave them. So now it's kind of like a staggered necklace look. But they do the tying kind of while they're walking over, so that they don't waste a lot of time. But so they're heading on over to the tower, and we'll go ahead and knock on Ren's door when they arrive.
Ren opens the door and lets Call in.
Cool. Call is probably going to do a quick one over of Ren to make sure everything's like not, on fire. And if Ren doesn't seem entirely distressed, Call is then going to immediately then look for Pier and pet her.
Okay, Ben, I might owe you like a stick of incense, just saying that Ren cast the ritual again, because I want Pier to be a cat now.
I think Pier's been a cat since y'all been back.
Yeah, but like, since I didn't resummon her since she was a crow or a raven.
I know that you bought some resources before leaving town, so yeah, you're good.
Okay, cool.
At the very least, you have access to buy them very easily. So if you don't have incense already, then just take the direct gold cost away, and we're totally fine because readily available.
Nice. Okay.
You live in a magic school. You have magical components very easily accessible.
Yeah. So Pier is now a giant. No, not giant. She's a cat. Imagine like a Norwegian forest cat, but like still tiny creature sized. Just pretty and fluffy as fuck.
Oh my god. Call is going to hand to Pier, and then if she doesn't resist, go face first.
She's just purring.
Wonderful.
Yes. Okay.
And Call is going to say through the mass of fluff, "You wanted to talk?" Comes out slightly muffled.
Yeah, Ren closes the door and says, at first he just says, Henry.
At this point, Call sits up and goes, "Henry." Also, this is the worst time to do it, but I still can't see Asher, so I'm gonna like disappear and reappear so that I can see Asher's facial expressions.
Asher, I love you. Ren is worried about you.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yes.
What you missed, maybe. Sorry, go ahead.
This is out of love. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. Don't worry about me. Brownie, what you missed was after you both said Henry, I mouthed Henry. I wanted to be included.
Perfect. Donkey.
Exactly, yes. Exactly.
Okay. Ren is probably just gonna like sit down at his desk and just kind of. I don't want him to get himself killed, and I don't want him to get us killed.
I agree. I also. I've been thinking about it. since we last spoke, and I would like to not have to betray anyone's trust in this situation. I don't want to have to rat Henry out, but I also cannot keep this kind of information from Zerka for much longer. Like, if this sort of information becomes relevant, I can't do that to her. I know that Etzley didn't say anything in the beginning. But at that point, it was Henry expressing discontent more than it was legitimate planning. And the more that time goes on, the more I think that this is a bad position if we leave things as they are.
I think we're on the same page. I don't want to have to lie to my superiors either. I live in the same tower as a divination wizard. I very much do not want to betray his trust. And I think it's to the point where the only way that we can get out of this and not have to betray anyone is to talk Henry out of this.
I agree. I think that honestly, it's the only way to go through this with a modicum of a clear conscience. I feel like if we don't try at this point, no matter what, I'm going to feel like I didn't do the best I could or the most I could to make this situation end right.
Yeah.
I think I don't know how it's going to go. I'm nervous to try. Because I know he seems so assured in this path and this direction, and I don't know what that's going to do, especially now that he's going to be under Zerka's command. But you're right. I'm rambling. The thing we need to do is try.
I think you bring up a good point, though. You're not rambling. You're making sense. Working directly under Zerka is going to be a much different environment for Henry, and I think you're in the best position to help prepare him for that. He's our friend. I don't want to frame this like we're attacking him. But I think an intervention is in order. And I think we should start with bringing him breakfast.
Call's gonna laugh at that. And Call's also gonna say, it is established that neither of us want this to go poorly, and neither of us want to go against Henry. That being said, I think we need to discuss what we should do if Henry does not agree with us. Because one of the things that concerns me is if Henry doesn't agree, and Henry's underneath Zerka's command, Henry could be put in a position where he believes the correct choice is to use or manipulate Zerka to the best of his ability to, for the greater good. And I also don't want to be put in a position where someone so directly linked to Zerka is participating in a coup that I know about, and I'm not saying fucking anything. Like, if Henry doesn't listen, I have to be put in the position where I either have to out him or lie to my commanding officer. And as much as Henry is a dear friend of mine, Zerka's had my loyalty for years longer than I have ever known Henry. And that's not a position he's gonna win. At least not with me.
No.
And I don't want to have to come to that.
No, and I think you have the right priorities. You've been through what you've been through with Zerka, and you trust her. And as far as I know her, I trust her. And I think if Henry does not want to completely drop this effort of his, at least we can try and talk him down from doing anything drastic in the near future. So I would like to be able to stall him a little bit longer. And in doing so, if we can find a way to take the hearts out of the situation, that would really be, they're really the ones moving this plan that Henry is eager to get in on.
That's true.
And I don't like my prospects of trying to out-politic Chell's heart. But it may come to that.
Here's my question for you. If Henry disagrees, and if Henry doesn't listen, I feel like I must, at that point, tell Zerka. If I have to do that, what will you do? How do you feel about that? Would you try to stop me?
Part of me feels terrible for saying this, but I would not try to stop you. I don't want it to come to that, so I don't want it to bear thinking about that, but just because I don't like it doesn't mean that it won't happen. I want to do everything we can to avoid Henry getting hurt and to make it clear to him that that's what's going to happen if he continues doing this, because we have established we can't follow him down this path.
That's true. At least this isn't coming out of nowhere.
Guys, we do have Pierre here.
A baby. By the way, this whole conversation call is still petting Pierre.
Good. She's enjoying it. Like
Are we
belly and
getting any
everything.
biscuits?
We're getting biscuits, but she's also on her back.
Air biscuits!
Air biscuits. And she drools. She's an absolute mess of a cat.
Call is so endeared.
Air biscuits are the
Here is
fluffiest
too
of biscuits.
cute. Stop. I can't handle it. It's too cute.
Pierre is so cute, I want to die.
Pierre loves Call. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just had a mental image of like Call leaning over to pet Pierre and Pierre turning one of those air biscuits to bat the stone on the necklace that she gave them.
Yeah. Yeah, just add that into canon. That's fine. Okay. Whew. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm also concerned about just what would happen if you have to tell Zerka and I have to tell Barnabas, and then have to explain why we didn't tell them sooner.
That scares me.
That
I mean, that, yeah. I don't see a way out of that where I'm not going to get my ass absolutely handed to me at bare minimum. I guess I I think it helps. At least for me, I don't think it would help for you. But I think it helps that Etzley said that she wasn't going to say anything. Zerka trusts Etzley. Honestly, I think Etzley was the first one of the dozen. I I trust Etzley's judgment, and given what happened with uh, the execution and the context therein, Etzley's judgment in a situation like that carries a lot of weight. Um, and until the mission, the most recent one, Henry was only talking about it in hypotheticals. It wasn't worth bringing to their attention if Henry decided not to go through with it. It wasn't worth bringing to their attention and potentially really, really messing up Henry's, career and life trajectory if he decided to change his mind. So, I mean, really, it's only that we didn't tell them in our last conversation. And I think one conversation's delay might give us some lenience.
That does make me feel a little better. I did just talk with Barnabas.
Oh, okay, you found him?
Yes, and I said nothing about Henry.
I gave a report to Zerka earlier and said nothing then either. Though, to be fair, at the time it genuinely slipped my mind somehow, so, wasn't intentionally concealing anything from her then. But I don't think that's actually going to fly as an excuse. Someone just casually happens to forget that their friend and coworker is planning a coup.
That's not big news or anything.
Not relevant.
Not relevant. Especially not to, the head of city security.
Okay, make it worse, why don't you?
That's what I'm here for. It's why we're concerned, though. And it's why I completely understand just what a bad situation this is. But I think
it's a bad situation.
It is a bad situation. But I think we should start just by talking to Henry. Just outlining what we've said here, just what a position that puts us in. Because really, what's supposed to happen after we tell Henry what's in our mind? What is he supposed to ask of us at that point? I mean, I guess only talking to him will tell, but
Honestly, I don't think speculating on that aspect is going to do us much good. I think we need to just figure out what our plan is for talking to Henry. And have an idea of what we're going to do if the conversation goes poorly. Because all we can control right now is ourselves. I hope he listens.
I think talking to him as soon as possible would be best.
I agree.
I think bring him breakfast mid-morning so he's not just waking up. Ren is like calculating right now, like, okay, how do I help my friend in like the most calculating way possible? But like, but
honestly, I'm inclined to agree. I think a not very early breakfast is a good idea, and maybe wait until he's gotten some food in him before we have that conversation.
yes.
Do you know how what do we do if Patch is there? Like, Henry has a roommate.
We will invite Henry out.
Duly noted.
Possibly
Out
here.
being to your room? Because I don't want to have that conversation in public.
Let's talk about it in the barracks again.
Yeah! That's the plan!
It's what Henry did. It's a good idea.
Yeah, it's the Coup room.
It's a coup. The coup room. Does Pierre do a lot of cooing in there?
Yeah.
Truffle does.
Everyone else coos at Truffle in that room. It is the Coup room.
It is
That actually, that's accurate. That's accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Also, like, Ren being like, here, let me make this worse, was more Jenny. Not playing Ren very well, but playing themselves, because I'm a shithead. So, anyway. Okay, so that's our plan. Meet at Henry's 10? 9, 10?
We gotta get breakfast, though. So, maybe meet at, like, the nearest bakery at 9:30-ish? Maybe not, maybe a little earlier?
Okay.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. And with that, I think Call is going to go right back to very attentively petting the cat.
Yeah, Pierre's living her best life. Yeah, Ren's at his desk. I guess, anything else we want to happen tonight, my guys?
Sending. I need sending to Venator. I'm gonna die.
All right. I've already got what you send, so I'll send you the response real quick.
Yup. Is that what it is? Because that's what you
Yes.
just.
Yep. Deep character insights in 25 words.
Henry goes back out to get laid again. Just kidding. He does not do that. Yeah, I was thinking, Henry, you're really juggling a lot here. You're gonna
reconnecting with an old flame. Well,
yeah.
Currently starting a new one.
Yeah. But Henry's just living his best life.
Henry lives very far away. Even if things happen, nothing's gonna happen physically for until they can see each other again, and it's gonna be a long time. So
Once
can you
upon
blame
a
him?
time, not long ago.
He is a hoe. Henry is a hoe. That is accurate. That is a true statement.
All right. Well, so everyone returns to their own rooms to sleep. Everyone being Call, the only one who is not currently in their own room.
Call does indeed return to their room to sleep. We do not have a 2.0 of Call and Ren sleeping in the same bed.
I mean, there'd be less people to notice it. considering
True.
Ren has their own room.
Well, Ren has their own room, and half of Call's roommates are not there.
This is true. This is true.
Significantly fewer people would find out.
Okay. So, I believe the first thing on the docket in the morning is actually Henry waking up early to go buy breakfast.
Oh
If
my
y'all
God.
remember in the last session when they were leaving Hart House, Henry said, "Can I bring breakfast tomorrow?" And Henry always goes at 8 to Hart House. So he's gonna go to Hart House for breakfast and come back to find them in his room. He's gonna be like, "Hey guys, what's up?" But it's really considerate that you guys were like, "Oh, we should go in mid-morning," because that's really kind and a good friend thing to do.
Here's the real question. Did Call and or Ren hear Henry say, "Hey, can I bring you breakfast, Charles?" Or Lady Hart? Like, did we hear that? Did we have that information that Henry was not going to be present?
Henry was the last one to be leaving the house, but he didn't like stay behind as y'all left. So I mean, I think it is certainly possible. I mean,
he asked her other stuff first. It wasn't the first thing he talked to her about. So if Call and Ren were like, they're talking about stuff, and we're like, let's get out of here, then they wouldn't have heard because it wasn't the first thing they talked about. But if they were like, oh, they're talking about stuff,
heard it.
yeah,
Okay.
like
So
let's stay.
So it's not Call and Ren's fault on poor planning. It's just cool. Okay.
it's actually
The night.
it's not metagaming if y'all show up. It's not metagaming if y'all show up to Henry's room with the food.
Exactly. Okay.
So yeah, Henry, I assume, gets the usual and goes to Hart House.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I guess they're around 8.
Right.
He gets pastries. Just because he got a myriad of things for a while. But yeah, he got pastries. Yeah, so Henry, perception check as I'm walking up to Hart House.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's a 6. It's a hot 6. This dice is going in dice
To
jail.
be honest, when Ren is standing still, I'm pretty sure I think Ren's passive stealth is better than a 6.
Ren or
I said
Henry?
Ren. Trent's passive stealth is better than a 6.
Okay.
So no, you do not see Trent as you approach the house.
Okay. All right. Henry goes to knock at the door, kind of expects it to open before he knocks.
You knock, and actually wait a second before Chels opens the door.
Good morning, Lady Hart. He gives a little Henry bow.
She returns a very shallow curtsy, as she normally does.
Mm-hmm.
And brings you into their little dining area, the less formal one, as is usual. And sits down with you and says, was there something you wanted to talk about?
There was. Can I do an insight check?
Sure. What do you want from it?
Why does she think that? Because she's never started that way before.
Sure, go ahead and roll your insight check.
That's a 12. Just okay.
Hard to read.
Okay, hard to read. I think Henry kind of takes a second and kind of like looks at the table, looks at his hands, and then looks up and is looking at her directly in the eye. and says, on the night of the execution, under the not cone of silence. God, what is it? The zone of truth. Under the zone of truth, you asked if you made a move against Ander, if we would stop you. And I said no, with no caveats. What do I need to do to be in a position for you to tell me a few details about your plan? I have some questions. I don't mean to compromise any mission, but I want to know some things. May I ask you a question?
Where the fuck are all my dice? Get out of here, pistachios.
The fact that this is unscripted, folks.
I've been literally planning to do this for like all week, so the fact that y'all were like, "Oh, hey, tomorrow,"
Wait.
like, it's insane that it's like the same day, the same breakfast.
This is beautiful.
This is amazing.
Literally, Jenny and I were in the car drive going like, they're gonna have to have an intervention.
Yeah. Like,
I was talking to go ahead, sorry.
no, just like Henry and Call would have been talking about this. Like, it's time. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I was telling him, I was like, he's at this point where like he has to, but I was saying the same thing for Henry, like he has to make a decision to either go toward the coup or not go toward the coup. And if he's gonna go toward the coup, he has to ask questions.
This is so good.
Good.
She, as you speak, she narrows her eyes at you and very, like judging type look. Not judging, but like discerning.
Like trying to discern.
That's discern. That is the word I was looking for. And she sits quiet for a little while, staring at you, like straight in the eyes, staring, not breaking eye contact for a little over a minute.
Henry's being 100% truthful, not trying to do any sort of deceiving. Open book.
What she says is, I've told you before that there's only one person that I trust. I've also spoke to you before that something you could do to help our plans is make things in the countryside sound worse. We don't like the stability in this city. It is not stable in this city. She's gonna What's your passive perception?
Passive perception is 12.
um,
Is she using the cuffs?
you don't know. I mean, if you want to make if Henry wants to make a perception check to specifically look for that, go ahead.
Or
4. I just heard the or of it of the 4, and I was like, or what? She like this space of silence is happening in game as well.
yeah, that's what it seemed like.
There is not something you can do to gain my trust. What I can say, what I am willing to say, is that if you want to help us with our plans, continue as I said before. I have been burned by too many well-to-do people. And I don't even think that you would do it on purpose. But to be honest with you, Trent and I have heard things from you and your friends that you don't know we've heard. And I don't think we're the only ones to have heard such things. To put it bluntly, I don't know that you could keep it a secret.
Henry would react immediately to that. I'm trying to think of how he would react. I think he would make a sound that's kind of like a bark of laughter, like a short kind of laugh noise, but also kind of have tears in his face, like a little bit, like upset. But it's also like, this is so ridiculous that it's funny, a little bit of like, but not disagreeing.
Just a point of whatever. She is sitting like straight back, perfect posture the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Shit. Give me a perception check real quick. Or insight. Either one.
I think insight is what he would do.
Okay.
That is a 14.
You are utterly unable to pick up anything at all from Chels. The only information you are getting from her is specifically the words coming from her mouth.
I think after a beat, about a similar length of silence as she was having between her after he kind of makes that laugh noise, I think he had been looking at her in the eye the whole time, but he looks down at his hands and he's like, I think it's going to be obvious he's trying to like keep himself together, and says, I am not a politician. I don't play the game. I purposely keep myself out of the game. But I can't stand for what happened that day. And then he kind of takes a breath, and he seems much calmer. His voice isn't thick anymore, and he looks up at her again, and says, but I also cannot help with a plan that I don't know the end goal or who might else get hurt. And he is looking at her straight in the eye and says, I appreciate the modicum of vulnerability that I've been able to see. I want to keep being your friend. I enjoy spending time with you. But I don't think I can help unless I know more. So I will not betray anything, even the slightest thing. I won't even talk about you so that I don't accidentally say anything, even to my friends. I won't say anything.
She gives a tiny nod, like to the point of you're not sure if you maybe imagined it. And then you hear the scuff of a boot behind you.
Turns around like real, like, because this is a tension thick moment. Henry is focused on her, and he is a little bit like might cast a spell, like turns around and looks.
Trent is leaning against the doorway to the dining room, swinging one leg back and forth to scuff the ground, and is spinning a dagger in his fingers.
Henry immediately, like, he has his hands up, and he immediately puts his hands down and is I think he kind of nods in a kind of deferential bow kind of way to Trent, and just kind of says, "Good morning."
With an added flourish, he spins the knife and make a perception check for me.
I have no idea if he's threatening Henry or not, and Henry is like, "Am I about to die?" So 14.
Well, I guess I should roll for it rather
He's
than...
like, "Is he threatening me, or is he just playing with his knife because he likes doing that?"
What is that number? You said 14?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Henry would be trying to discern what the knife being out means. So can I roll insight as well, or is the perception going to be used as what insight would be?
just let me...
Okay.
If you want to roll insight after I describe this, you can.
Okay.
There's an added flourish with the knife, and then his coat fans a little bit, and his hand is empty.
Okay. Henry gives him a little smile, and kind of like gestures at the box, which is unopened because Chels and I immediately got down to business, and says, I brought the cinnamon elven, whatever they're called. His favorite. Like, I brought your favorite.
He does not leave the doorframe.
Henry looks at Chels.
She's still straight posture, sitting like perfect etiquette, and still staring directly at, like, as soon as you turn eye contact.
Henry tries to look more like an open book than he already was looking like.
Make a persuasion check for me. I didn't hear you.
8.
Mr. Silverhammer, you can still come and bring breakfast when you have warned us ahead of time. I would ask that you do not bring this topic up again. And whenever you do look away from Chels, you see Trent is sitting at the table now.
It wasn't clear. Henry just nodded and kind of looked away when she said that.
Okay, so do we need to awkwardly roleplay y'all eating, or...
I guess I do want to know what we talk about after this. We don't have to roleplay it, but I want to know how it goes.
It stays entirely small talk. The weather, if Henry brings up, like, the events, they will answer questions very shortly without really giving information, and return it to small talk conversations.
All right, cool. Well, I guess Henry leaves a little bit later. Where do you think he would have found the best coffee in the city, since he hasn't really had a lot of time to find coffee?
Best coffee in the city.
Like, would it be on the way back to the keep, or do you think it would be kind of pretty far away?
It would be at the tavern he was at the night before.
So he wouldn't have gone very far. So I think on the
yeah.
Okay. So on the way back, he goes and gets a coffee to go, and then goes back to his room.
To-go mugs aren't really a thing.
Okay, Henry sits at the bar and drinks his coffee, and then goes back to his room.
Aren't really disposable cups.
Quick perception check to make sure that whoever it was he slept with isn't there.
Yeah, go ahead.
17?
You do not see them.
Good. All right. So Henry gets back to his room. What time do you think he'd be getting back?
I'm assuming he probably ate pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
after that conversation. That conversation wasn't super long. It felt like an eternity, but didn't actually take that long. So, and you said he arrived at 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I could easily see him getting back at 9:30, 9:45.
Yep. I guess he's in his room when Ren and Call knock on the door.
Yeah.
That's good.
Just point of clarification, Patch is not there.
Patch is a busy boy. He's got stuff going on.
Patch is a very busy.
Yeah, but I don't. But that still doesn't mean that, the one time we're expecting
Right?
privacy, Patch isn't going to be there.
Yeah.
You make a good.
You're right.
You can't rely on that shit.
Although, nope, never mind. Sorry.
All right.
Okay, I guess we'll start with that. Do
I
we
guess so.
notice if anything is off about Henry? Like, have we knocked on the door? Henry's opened the door.
Yeah. So when y'all see Henry,
Ben's pointing.
mhm.
I just wanted to know
Ben
what
was-
kind of breakfast y'all got.
Pastries.
Mm.
Whatever we know are Henry's favorites.
All
Almond.
snuck in one of their
Or
own
wait.
favorites.
Almond. Yeah.
I just realized that Henry's favorite pastries are almond, and Ash is allergic to almond.
My favorite pastry that I've ever eaten in my memory is an almond croissant from a little bakery in Seattle that I had when I was like 14, before I was allergic to almonds, before I knew I was allergic to almonds. And so I was fine because I didn't get the allergy until later. So that's why it's his favorite.
So I guess
Anyway.
we got an assortment of Henry and Paul's favorites.
So y'all know what Henry's like I'm just barely awake face is, and I feel like y'all know the entire spectrum of his awakeness in the morning because we've spent so many days together in the morning.
Dawn to
that
dusk.
yeah, that y'all would know that he is fully awake and alert. He's had coffee, he's had food. Like, his braids don't look perfectly fresh as if he had just done them. Like, he's obviously been awake for a while and has eaten already. And I said, Henry's like, "Good morning. Do you guys want to come in?"
Good morning. Yeah. How are you?
Thank you.
Make a perception or make an insight check.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Like,
Henry
things
gives,
off.
Henry gives a very big, bright smile.
16.
Nat 20.
19.
Woo!
Damn it. Okay, so Call believes the kind of cheery smile. Damn it. He rolled a fucking 19 for deception. I think Ren notices that though Henry is smiling very big, his eyes are sad.
Ren is gonna give Henry like kind of a chance to go into it if he wants to, but is now just gonna kind of like keep an eye on it. Yeah. So it looks. Have you been awake? How's your morning been?
Yeah,
You'd still be asleep by now.
Henry chuckles at that and is like, "Yeah, usually I would be, but I wanted to bring breakfast to the Hearts this morning, so I back from that."
Okay. Are you feeling up for second breakfast?
And Henry gives a little grin and nods.
We established yesterday that Henry's always hungry.
Yeah. Though he says yes because he remembers saying that, he doesn't eat as quickly as he doesn't eat the whole pastry. There's not a lot. He still looks a little sad.
Okay.
Tragic.
Yeah.
So how did things go with the Hearts?
Henry looks out and like it kind of hides his face a little bit.
Not
That-
good.
Not good? That doesn't look good.
I just don't know what I'm gonna do now.
Care to
In what
elaborate?
way?
Henry just starts full crying.
Oh no.
Just full on crying, which to Call would be a shock because he seemed so happy and just a second ago. Um, um, I think he cries a little bit and then takes a handkerchief out and kind of gets himself together, and says, "I'm sorry. I just." I don't know how to do the right thing. I don't know how to determine what the right thing is. Every time I think I know what the right thing is, something happens and I change my mind and I don't.
Okay, Call's gonna be at this point like kind of like leaning in and like giving Henry some like, physical affection. So like pressing Henry in against the side of their body, rubbing his shoulder, that sort of thing. And is also probably gonna like scoop up one of Henry's hands unless they're like, snotty.
Yeah,
Um,
he has his handkerchief, so he would not have been
okay,
snotty.
good. Um, so Call's gonna be like all up in Henry's space.
Mm.
And is gonna kind of like glance at Ren and be like, I actually wanted to talk to you about that. Um, is now an okay time?
Um, Henry takes a deep breath and says, just give me a second. Let me think about it." Um, the physical affection, it is really helps bolster Henry, and he does feel uh better with that. Um, and he kind of takes stock of his mental away, self, and he tries to determine if he can handle a conversation about it. Um, I think Henry says, "Yeah, let's talk about it."
I I know that we've told you that should you pursue Call's gonna like pause and then like reassess how they're approaching this and then say, I have been given information from people whose insights, opinions, and lives I value and trust. And the more I hear from them, the more I am concerned and the more I am convinced that a coup is not going to help people in the way you hope it will. While Ander is no one's favorite and a very deeply flawed man, there are people who rely on the status quo for protection that a coup, especially led by people that we don't know have their best interests at heart, and I can't say that we know enough about the heart's intentions to promise that, that coup will put them in a danger that even under Ander would not otherwise exist. It is likely to take people who are already in perilous conditions and put them under greater peril. The people that I have spoken to, I won't betray their confidences in me, but for what it's worth, I hold them in the highest esteem. Have told me that they rely on the imperfect stability afforded by Ander in the present for safety, and that they fear an upset of that safety. And Call's at this point going to be like kind of glancing at Ren to see if Ren has anything to add.
After the execution, when we talked to the hearts in the Zone of Truth, we asked them about their intentions in the city. And with no further explanation or reassurances that they were going to take anybody else's well-being into account, Chels only said that they wanted to gather power until the two of them were safe. I don't believe that they have the city's best interest at heart, nor yours. Certainly not mine. But Ander is not the answer you're looking for. Neither are the hearts. We know that the situation in the city is far from perfect. I feel like something as abrupt and chaotic as a coup would cause far more harm than we can calculate right now. We are involved in these things now. We have found ourselves in this very complicated situation, but we are part of it. And I want to learn more without getting people hurt, without getting you hurt. I have been very, very worried about you, because I know that you have the best intentions, and I really admire that about you. I do. But working with the hearts is going to get you killed.
I think Henry, he laughs, not mirthless laugh, a mirthless laugh. And he says, well, I think you two will be happy to know that I told the hearts this morning that unless they tell me what their end goal is, I can't help them. And I think, and Henry covers his face at this point and says, and we all know that Chell's heart doesn't trust anybody but Trent.
Are you muted?
Yeah, sorry. Call is going to renew their vigorous, like, physical affection.
Henry leads into it. And he uncovers his face, but doesn't look at either of them and says, I was sure that I had to get Ander out. I was sure that was the right thing to do. But listening to y'all's objections on the way back 2 days ago, whenever that was, a few days ago. And then talking to Lord Umber, I kind of gave me it made me think about it again. It made me completely reconsider it again because you two were both so so passionate. Thank you. So vehement about it not being the right thing that I stopped. It was just a complete difference from what I was thinking. And so I stopped and I thought about it again. And who would replace him? Lady Carta, maybe for another 10 years, but then what happens after that? And there are no other good alternatives, so practically it doesn't make sense. And Henry stops like in the middle of his sentence and kind of coughs and then says it doesn't make sense to do that. I'm not giving up on finding a solution to making the people safer, but it is no longer going to be in any way, shape, or form a coup. And I'm not working with the heart.
Ren looks visibly relieved and just reaches over and kind of squeezes Henry's hand.
Call's gonna say, I won't pretend I'm not relieved to hear that. But I'm sorry that coming to this realization has hurt you the way it has. And I want you to know that we support your desire to make this city safer for everyone involved. And we'll find a way to do it. We'll figure out the right way to go. It may be more complicated than this, but we'll figure out a way to make people safer here.
Henry squeezes Call's hand. And he kind of gets the handkerchief and kind of clears his face again and says, thank you. Thank you both.
Call just squeezes back.
Henry picks up a pastry and starts eating.
Fantastic. Call takes that as a sign and just immediately grabs like 2 of the fruit pastries.
All right.
Because if we think...
Go. Continue.
Oh, I was just gonna say something real dumb. I was just gonna say, we all know that Call gets up at ass o'clock in the morning, and if it's already at this point, 10 a.m., Call's been up for 5 hours already.
This is like third breakfast for Call.
Call's I'm fucking starving.
I am going to assume that y'all sit in comfort for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So we will just fast forward a bit as far as at what time would y'all head out and where would you go?
Maybe at 10:45. And I think Henry would ask Call, now that we're under Zerka's command, how often should we ask for orders? She seems to be very busy, what's the best way to go about working for her?
The answer to that question is, at this point, we kind of assume that we know our marching orders. We need to start investigating what happened and who those people were. And if Zerka needs us, she'll send word. Um, Zerka does not like to have to micromanage. So, honestly, if you guys don't have any alternative plans for the day, now that we've got our orders, I really think we should see what we can find. It's been a long time and there's slim pickings in terms of information, but especially since a fair number of those people have already left town. But we can at least try and assess, talk to any of the other guards who did any of the guards survive that? Like, did I feel like, yeah, okay. Yeah,
There
we
was
can
like a
talk to some
few.
of the guards.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can talk to some of the guards who were there. I remember what some of the citizens there looked like, but gods know I can't find them. Um, but at least the guards would be a good place to start. Maybe they saw something we didn't. Maybe they have any kind of insight that might help us get more direction.
Something that I remember very distinctly is that none of the higher ups were there. I don't know the best way to ask this, but do we think that's because executions are gross? Nobody wants to see that? Or do you think that there was another reason? Would someone have been tipped off?
I'm not sure why Andrew wasn't present since he arranged it, but well,
Honest,
as far as finding out who those people were, yes, sorry. Um, I think we all kind of suspect that the Hearts were the ones who arranged Fist as a scapegoat, yes? Is that the impression that we have?
I don't have that impression.
Okay.
I yes, I yes, I think they wanted him as a distraction. I do not believe that they intended for him to take the blame for everything and be executed without a trial, especially when there was no evidence. I do think that it was a misstep and they, shouldn't have tried to blame an innocent man for more than what he was doing, but I don't think that I wouldn't say a scapegoat.
I think that you said it better than I did because I agree completely with that. Um, I'm wondering, since they found him, if they would know any more about his origins. That could give us any lead into those people, but I'm not sure they'd be willing to. If any of the guards are still around, we could talk to the guards. Did we see anything specific about those people? Like anything that we can remember? They had a spellcaster with them.
they did.
Go look at my notes.
Maya, swear I didn't write notes on this.
Oh yeah, I don't think I did notes for the execution because it was just a lot going on. I think I remember that the caster might have been a holy caster. Ben, can we roll like history or something to try to remember anything about them, the people?
Well, so it's not. It wouldn't technically be a history check.
His
I will
memory,
let y'all
constitution.
roll. No, it's. I will let y'all roll an investigation check that'll have a high DC, because y'all are trying to think about it. History is technically like knowing the past of things. Like history isn't
Mhm.
actually your history typically.
Can I make a like I'm saying that Henry remembers the caster as a holy caster. So can I see if he would know
You could make an Arcana check.
yeah, so I was gonna can I make like an if Arcana, but that's intelligence, so I wasn't sure if that's I don't know. Should I make
I
an Arcana
mean,
check to see if I would know
you can make
what
an Arcana or a religion check because you
religion?
are saying specifically you think it was religion. So you can make either one of those.
I think I'll do Arcana.
A religion check at most would tell you if it was religion. Arcana could possibly give you specifically what it is if it's not a religion-based cast.
So I was intending Arcana. And I'm just rolling like shit. Got a 5.
Okay. You are not sure at all. I believe the only casting that was done was the darkness spell.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there were any other spells cast by this individual.
She did. I think it was something like, I don't know, expeditious retreat or something. Because she zoomed. She just
Yeah.
ran away real
Zippity
fast.
doo dah.
It was like
Absolutely.
120 feet or something crazy.
Yeah.
Because I think it was that because Moonbeam I can move at 120 feet and she was already out of that range.
And Ren stepped 5 feet forward and got within range 120 feet so he could cast Chill Touch. So
yeah.
And I have you to thank for that, Asher, because I was like, oh no, she's just out of range. And Asher was like, hey, what if Ren steps one thing closer? And I was like, oh shit, now he can cast it. So thank you, Asher.
Use your movement first.
Yeah, use your movement first, dumbass. So thank you, Asher. But yeah, she was exactly 120 feet. Yeah. Okay. And so yeah, it was darkness and then a movement spell. Also, Ren rolled a 1 for his investigation, so
Oh, baby.
paid for that 20 earlier.
All right. Call's gonna roll. That is a nat 20, my dude.
What?
Okay.
The investigator.
On
The
a nat
investigator.
on a nat 20, I'm just going to clarify some shit that y'all have said, and then I'll probably throw in some crumbs. So first of all, you did not see her cast anything before. So first of all, she was on a fucking roof when she took off the 120 feet. You did not physically see her cast. That doesn't mean she didn't cast, but like you do not have actual sight evidence of her casting something to be able to take off.
So it could have been like an object or something, potentially.
Who fucking knows? Just a reminder of what she did. She cast the darkness spell on seemingly as many fucking people as she could. Ran in towards Vist, but did not make it to him. And then took a fucking beating and took off. I think that y'all didn't let any of the other attackers escape. I believe that. Ooh, I might be wrong. One of them
I think
might
there
have
was
slipped.
one.
One
There was
slipped away
one
in the
left.
crowd.
Yeah.
I believe there were some rather brutal kills of those of those bandits is probably as accurate of a word as I can use. Did some pretty brutal killing on them. I remember a couple of busted heads. Um, um, Call did collect some weapons from them that they then sold, because there's not really a way to like trace that. There was nothing super unique or special about the weapons to have been able to trace them. And on a it's a nat 20. We reward nat 20s here. As Call is going over the situation in their mind, probably for the couple hundredth time by now, considering this happened a while ago, Call kind of comes to the realization you're pretty sure that this caster was not going to hurt Vist in any way. You're pretty sure you saw them give like a really regretful look towards Vist before they took off. And that's what you get on remembering a fight from weeks ago with an nat 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yes, Asher, you're raising your hand.
After Braun would say what Call would say and everything that you want to say right now, but then Henry has something, and I don't want to forget because I'm bad at forgetting things.
Oh, okay. So actually, I'm not gonna roleplay Call relaying that information, but Call relays that information. I was just going to say that I do have some element of notes, which is not great. But it does mention that the high elf that works for Carta was there. Useless mage. I have Lil Useless Mage written down. The high elf that worked for Carta was there, and then everyone else I have on the list presumably has moved on. We haven't seen Goliath guy in a while, and the War Duchess left with Jester. So that was it.
Low useless mage. Who's the little useless mage?
Oh, there was a mage there who missed literally every
fucking
time.
The dwarf.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was also there in the hallway when Henry went down to visit Vist.
Yeah, she was the mage put in charge of not letting Vist cast spells, basically.
Lil and useless.
Lil and useless.
She did her best, okay? I think she is the one who ended up dispelling the darkness as well.
I think she did.
Not entirely.
Okay.
Wait.
Somewhat useless.
No. Darkness. Henry cast command.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
That was Henry.
Oh.
And I said dispel.
She was useless.
Yeah. So that was a really clever way of Henry to do that.
Thanks. I was really trying. I was like a one word to tell her to stop. Like, because saying stop, that could be a physical. I went through a bunch, and then I was like, dispel magic is a spell, and I feel like that's. Yeah. I think after, we kind of talk about it and relay, I think Henry, like, straightens up and looks at Ren and says, "Where's his body? Do you know?" Because he was adamant that someone was going to consume his body and take on a new power. Like, he knew it for a fact. And when I said that I wasn't going to do that and I wasn't angling to do that, he laughed at me like I was a fool giving up some great power.
I regret that I have not clarified that situation yet. But so far, I have reason to believe that nothing after the execution, nothing drastic resulted from wherever his body was taken. But I do plan to clarify that. I am trying to figure out how. But that is going to be my next move with things.
I don't like that we don't know the answer to that.
I don't either.
I'm going to try to not panic about it.
Okay. I think that means that I have some investigating to do with the mage group.
Do
Sounds
you
like
want?
it.
Should we go talk to some guards?
Sounds like a good idea.
Okay.
All right. I will point out that both there and also assigned to this job is Captain Ryan of the City Guard. So are y'all going to him, or are y'all trying to go find like the everyday guards who were in attendance?
So much easier to go to Captain Ryan and be like, "Hello, what guards were staffed?"
Yeah, that's what
And have you already talked to them?
Yeah.
Fill us in, my man.
All right.
I think Henry would, because they probably would say as much to each other as they, were walking to go talk to the guards. I think Henry would say, even if he has talked to them already, I would love to go up to them all buddy and get on a casual level with them and then subtly ask about things to see if there's any other information.
I'm sorry, repeat that?
If we go to Captain Ryan and he's like, yeah, I've already interviewed all the guards. This is what they saw. I want to go and interview them as well.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So we go.
All right. So as far as where he might be, he does patrol the city. Y'all know that. But also, like his offices and the barracks for the city guard is. Oh, do I still have my? Do I still have my city picture somewhere? Okay, this is terrible. But so right here, there's this little box. So this is the like noble district here. Just outside of it, and this is also an interior wall. There is this little walled-in box that has the like all of the guardsmen barracks and that type of thing. So yeah, y'all can go to the guard hall as I have it listed. But it is midnight. We had
For all of us.
Yeah, for all of us because we're in the same time zone now. We had a new viewer. Thanks for chatting. We are gonna go ahead and end it here. We'll pick up with the conversation with Captain Ryan whenever we find him.
And Kenda.
And Kenda?
Because Ren's going to Kenda.
Oh.
Ren's going to Kenda to figure out what happened to Vist's body.
Right,
He's
yeah.
absolutely going to Kenda.
yes, we can talk to Kenda as well. Do we? We've gone 2 Fridays in a row. Do we want to do next Friday as well, or are we? We're
Uh,
going to be. We're not
we're
going
gonna
to be
be
in
gone.
town.
No, we're not doing Friday.
How about Thursday?
How about Wednesday?
Wednesday? Oh yeah, because we're going to be
Either one of those days should work for me.
We're leaving early Friday morning.
right.
Where are you guys headed?
Going to
Family
Wimberley.
vacation.
Wimberley near Austin.
Fun!
Yeah.
Yes, I know where Wimberley is. I used to go to church in Wimberley when I was in San Marcos for school.
See, I said Wimberley and you didn't react. I was like, oh, I just assumed you would know because you lived there. But yeah.
100% am familiar with Wimberley. There are some really, really cute shops there. Please take advantage of like exploring the little downtown because every single one of those shops is like a locally owned thing. And if you
Oh.
talk to them, they're all by like retired people. So it's like a whole bunch of people who were like, I'm bored of corporate life. I'm going to retire and open a tiny little gallery in Wimberley, Texas. And that is what all of them have done. Everyone I know in Wimberley is old as balls. They're all retired, like, corporate lawyers and execs who are like, I want to live the artsy life now. And then they went to Wimberley and they opened a gallery.
I'm excited. I think we're
That's what
staying right by downtown and can walk to it. So I'm excited.
So yeah, next Wednesday, 8:30, 45, maybe 9ish.
Whatever
Depending-
the baby says.
Depending on when the baby sleeps. But yeah, if we have viewers watching, that's when we'll be live again. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Thanks for watching.
Bye.